Hello everyone, this is Jill. Welcome to another episode of SalesianaBooks channel.
I signed Proclamation number 1081, placing the entire Philippines under martial law.
Let us recall what happened during martial law. August 21, 1971, a bomb exploded at Plaza Miranda during the Liberal Party rally for the senatorial election. 2 grenades were hurled down onto the stage, which resulted to 9 deaths and hundreds injured. Fortunately, the late Benigno Aquino, who was at that time running for Senate, have not been in the venue at the time of the explosion. A week after the Plaza Miranda bombing, Marcos suspended the writ of habeas corpus. It was later lifted, but the following year, there were several other bombings that took place, including that of Joe's department store in Manila. September 22, 1972, Senator Juan Ponce Enrile, then Defense Minister, was ambushed near Wakwak at about 8 p.m. He survived the attack. Marcos appeared on television at 7:15 p.m. on September 23, 1972, to announce that he had placed the entire Philippines under martial law by virtue of Proclamation number 1081. This was signed officially on September 21, 1972. Marcos would subsequently issue General Order number 1, 1972, transferring all powers to the President, who was to rule by decree. He dissolved Congress, suspended the writ of habeas corpus, freedom of speech, press and assembly, and imprisoned the opposition of Liberal Party leaders. With a stroke of a pen, Marcos closed the Philippine Congress and assumed its legislative responsibilities. During the 1972 to 1981 martial law period, Marcos invested with dictatorial powers, issued hundreds of presidential decrees, many of which were never published. What is martial law? It is an extraordinary power granted to the President or the Congress to put the entire country under military rule. According to Merriam-Webster, it is the law administered by military forces that is invoked by a government in an emergency when the civilian law enforcement agencies are unable to maintain public order and safety. President Marcos claimed that martial law was a prelude to creating a new society. The larger purpose was to use martial law as the facility and stage for economic takeoff and development, emulating the models of economic success of our neighbors. But because of his excesses, abuses, and corruption, Marcos squandered that opportunity. Martial law in the Philippines was a failed political experiment. The 14 years from September 21, 1972 to the restoration of democracy in February 1986 were years of squandered opportunities and wasted national resources. That is according to Amanda Doronilla, issued in the Philippine Daily Inquirer, September 22, 2004. Amnesty International has estimated that during martial law, 70,000 people were imprisoned, 34,000 were tortured, and 3,240 were killed.
They brought me to a mountain hideout in the Sierra Madre and placed me in a box. I had only my brief and my t-shirt. I refused to eat because I thought they were poisoning me. There was nothing in the room, barely nothing. And I had nothing to do but twiddle my thumb. And for the first time in my life, I heard the ticking of every second, and I was counting every second into minutes. And as the minutes marched into hours, and the hours into days, and days into weeks, I knew what loneliness meant.
Ordinary activists and even some innocent civilians got arrested without warrant, detained illegally, and were subjected under extreme physical torture. Among the most common physical torture techniques used during martial law include electric shocks, truth serum, Russian roulette, beating, pistol whipping, water cure, strangulation, cigar burns, use of heated flat iron, pepper torture, and rape. These inhuman practices have been prevalent during those 20 years of Marcos regime. Bantayog na mga bayani recorded 44 died at the age of 21 to 30 years old, and 6 died at the age of 15 to 20 years old. Despite the piles of documents and witnesses, justice has been very elusive. To prevent this from happening again, amendments in the 1987 Philippine Constitution were made in the event that the suspension of habeas corpus or declaration of martial law happens. Our laws now ensures that 1. The Constitution will continue to prevail and the civil courts or legislative assemblies will continue to function. 2. The suspension of the privilege of writ of habeas corpus will only apply to persons judicially charged for rebellion or offenses inherent in or directly connected with invasion. 3. During the suspension of the writ of habeas corpus, anyone arrested or detained shall be judicially charged within 3 days, otherwise shall be released. Crimes were committed against individuals and the country as a whole, and yet we seem to have forgotten the gravity of their offenses. To prevent history from repeating itself, we must learn from it. We can forgive, but we should not forget. Quality education through quality textbooks.